Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Monday, October 27th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Penn State game in 5 days, the game against Michigan in 33 days. If you are planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at gratefulgriddleoh.com. I'm joined by Tony Gerdeman of BuckeyeHuddle.com. We're going to be talking about the college football playoff and where things stand right now. We're headed into the 1st of November. That'll be this Saturday. And just felt like a good time to kind of do a little bit of a check-in as we head into the final month of the regular season. But Tony, before we get into that, I wanted to pull up the graphic from the last time we did this show. Before the season, brace yourself. Some things have changed in the college football world. And the reason I'm doing this is I just want to underscore what a crazy and fun season this has been. Okay, here we go. Preseason. We did this based off of, I think, the preseason AP coaches poll or something like that. So here we go. Number 1, Penn State. How's their season going? Is it going well? Tony, I haven't been following college football closely. I assume they're still going to be on this next graphic when we put up the current one?
Their head coach is currently scouting locations now.
Yeah, good. Good for him. Number 2, Clemson, also a team whose season is going great. No problem at all. Number 3, Notre Dame. Number 4, Texas. And I'm going to spoil something here. None of the top 4 seeds from the preseason version of this are currently in the field at all. Period. Full stop. So the preseason matchup for the first round would have been number 5, Ohio State versus number 12, Boise State, with the winner taking on Texas. Number 8, Oregon taking on number 9, Oklahoma, with the winner taking on top-ranked Penn State. Number 6, Georgia taking on Baylor, with the winner taking on number 3, Notre Dame. And number 10, Alabama taking on number 10, Michigan, with the winner taking on number 2, Clemson. Okay, so there you go. Tony, the first 4 out, we'll hit those too. Number 13, LSU. Is their season going well? I assume it must be. They have a very good coach. Number 14, SMU. Number 15, Miami. Number 16, Illinois. Other than Penn State, other than everything, Tony, what there looks the craziest right now?
Well, I still think even throwing Baylor in there, like, this is the craziest part is how wrong all of it is. And let's give Miami some credit. They 15. Are you crazy? Like, they're easily top 12. But yeah, just the direction with which the reality has run from the preseason rankings is impressive. It really makes you think about how good those AP pollsters are.
Well, I'm sure they've gotten a lot better now because we're using the current AP poll for the updated version of this. And if I have counted correctly, there are only 4 of those 12 teams from the preseason version of this who are still in the projected field right now. Here is the current projected field. Number 5, Georgia, taking on number 12, Memphis. Memphis, of course, not one of the top 12, but that is the group of 5 representative. Number 8, Georgia Tech, taking on number 9, Vanderbilt. Number 6, Oregon, taking on number 11, BYU. They would be the Big 12 representative, one of the Big 12. They would be the Big 12 representative. And then number 7, Ole Miss, taking on number 10, Miami. I guess, first of all, which of these things, and we can talk about the first 4 out, you can include that in this, where the first 4 out are Notre Dame, Texas Tech, Tennessee, and Virginia as the first 4 out right now based on the AP poll. What of that would have been the most shocking to you before the season?
Boy, I had Georgia Tech in the playoffs, so I can't be shocked by my own intelligence, though sometimes I am. I would have to say, looking at that, you got to go Vandy, because there were a lot of people harping on Vandy early in the season, and I was pushing back against it just because, people like to find something to prop up in the SEC. But, they've done well. Virginia at 16 is crazy as well. Let's acknowledge that, because there's an opportunity for them to get into this thing. So actually, based on that, I would say Virginia is the craziest, but I do think that you've got such a clamoring for Notre Dame, the 2 tough losses at the beginning of the season. If those 2 teams keep winning, they're going to find their way in somehow.
Well, and this is obviously not a final product by any means.
Mhm.
We got a whole nother month of college football to play, and a bunch of these teams are going to pick up losses. And it's not, even if this was right now, the season ended right now, this is not the college football playoff committee's version of this. This is just the AP polls version of this. And so, yeah, I have a feeling that Notre Dame would probably sneak their way into the field, and you'd probably have some of these teams in a little bit of a different order.
Can I
But
ask you,
yeah,
which I'm looking at those first four out, and I think Notre Dame and Texas Tech are going to get in. Like, who do you think is the most likely of those four to sneak in? And if Texas Tech beats do they play BYU this year? Because I'm wondering if if Texas Tech say beats a 12-0 BYU, that's disaster for other conferences because then you got to have both of those teams in, I would think.
yeah, maybe. I don't know how much. Let's see. Texas Tech will play they play BYU at home on Saturday, November 8th. And then
Ooh.
you got to remember they also are going to they could very well meet in the Big 12 championship game. So then someone picks up a second loss there. So I would be fairly surprised if the Big 12 got more than one team
Right.
in this
Yeah.
year. Yeah.
Not with them meeting in the regular season. I would agree with
Yeah.
that. And Texas Tech will get some credit for their loss not having their starting quarterback. So
Mhm.
that's also something to keep in mind. But of those four, Tom, as I run your show for you, what do you think makes it out of those first four out?
I would have Notre Dame and Texas Tech in, and I think Texas Tech is going to beat BYU. I think BYU's a very solid team, but Texas Tech is probably talented enough that they're going to win. They're going to win at least one of those two, and possibly both of those two if those two teams match up. And then Notre Dame, the remainder of their schedule is not super difficult, and they should, if they're 10-2, you can very easily sell the narrative of, they lost early and they were both very close and they're both against good teams. And we haven't even talked about the top four, and Texas A&M, one of those teams, is one of Notre Dame's losses. So if Texas A&M continues to roll, then that's a very easy loss to kind of hand wave for Notre Dame. So I would suspect that they get in. And I think we are in not a beautiful enough world for Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech to both make the playoff. Like that feels like we are headed for heartbreak one way there or another. Georgia Tech loses to Georgia and everyone goes, "Oh, sorry, no, not quite." We'll see. I would lean pretty heavily towards the ACC, or the ACC and the Big 12 both only get one team in, but we'll see. So just to sort of play this forward a little bit. So the first round matchup of number 5 Georgia and number 12 Memphis, winner right now would play number 4 Alabama that would be the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day. Number 8 Georgia Tech, number 9 Vanderbilt, they would play Ohio State in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. Boy, Georgia Tech in the Rose Bowl, or if Georgia Tech in the Rose Bowl sounds like 1920, Vanderbilt in the Rose Bowl sounds like, well, we've moved on past the zombie apocalypse, and 5 years later, we're starting civilization over again. But that's where those teams would meet. Oregon. Oh, sorry. I guess Texas A&M would technically be in the Sugar Bowl because they're the higher seeded team in the SEC right now, so they would be in the Sugar Bowl against the winner of Oregon and BYU. And then, speaking of 5 years after the zombie apocalypse, the second seeded Indiana Hoosiers will play the winner of 7th seed Ole Miss and 10th seed Miami. And those games are the Cotton Bowl, the Orange Bowl are the other two there. So I would certainly assume that Alabama would play the Georgia and Memphis winner in the Orange Bowl. Indiana would be the New Year's Eve game against Ole Miss or Miami in the Cotton Bowl. But boy, a lot of football still to go. But I'm going to throw something even more jarring at you, Tony. If I did this based on SP Plus, Indiana would be the number 1 seed. You could have an Indiana Vanderbilt Rose Bowl, Tony. It's almost November, and that is a sentence that is 100% true.
As I look at some of these matchups, even including the first round, I can hear the college football, like, people who are more NFL that report on the NFL just be like talking about, boy, these these are ratings killers. Who's going to want to watch Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech? Who's going to want to watch, Ole Miss, Indiana on New Year's Eve? Exactly. Like college football fans, that's who. I would love to see Ole Miss, Indiana, because Lane Kiffin and Kurt Signetti, like pregame pressers and things like that. I think that would just be fun. Georgia, Alabama, and quarters, like, yeah, give me. Sure, that might be, I don't know, well, that could be their third matchup of the year, and then Vanderbilt at Ohio against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl could legitimately be like the Heisman winner and the Heisman runner-up playing. Oregon, Texas A&M, or Texas Tech. Ooh, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, something like that. These are all the college football playoff was such a good idea. The expansion was such a good idea. I'm glad I came up with it.
Yeah, this is definitely one where you start looking at this and going, oh man, I would watch the heck out of that game. Like you're talking about covering a Lane Kiffin and Kurt Signetti press conference, and I'm currently trying to think, could I get out of going to cover Ohio State in the Rose Bowl to go cover that? Like, man, oh man, that. And you started talking about the press conference. I'm thinking, what's the over-under on that game? Is it 100? Like, that could be an incredibly fun game. So that's just a little daydreaming there, just to move things forward. And this is kind of also sort of explaining how this all works and who gets spotted, who gets located where. The semifinals, the two spots are the Fiesta Bowl and the Peach Bowl. And so the number one seed gets located in the location that is closer to its home campus. So that would be Ohio State. As they're the number one, they would get seeded into the Peach Bowl. And that would just be done on Selection Sunday. That would not change. The top half of the bracket would be the Peach Bowl. The bottom half of the bracket would be the Fiesta Bowl. Period, full stop. That would not change if the number one seed got knocked out. So that would be number one Ohio State versus number 4 Alabama if the top seeds all went out, which, as we saw last year, far from a guarantee. But number 1 Ohio State versus number 4 Alabama in the Peach Bowl. Number 2 Indiana versus number 3 Texas A&M in the Fiesta Bowl. 2 Big Ten teams playing 2 SEC teams. The SEC teams both being a little closer to home in both of those cases. But again, sign me up. You want to have everyone wants to have the conference slap fight on Twitter every day. Let's have 2 more Big Ten teams play 2 more SEC teams in the semifinals. Like we saw that with current members of the Big Ten and current members of the SEC 2 seasons ago, when a couple of them were not in their current conferences, and the current Big Ten members went 2-0 against the current SEC members. But man, oh man, again, like these are football games. I would watch the heck out of some of these football games. And the craziness of it all just underscores what a fun season this has been.
Yeah, it's too bad as we look at this that Notre Dame's going to ruin it somehow. But the Indiana, Texas A&M giving up 24 points a game right now and having given up over 40 to Arkansas and Notre Dame. That one looks like that would be bad news for the Texas A&M defense if Indiana comes to town, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing not to like about this. Ohio State fans would love to get another shot at Alabama. Alabama fans would love to get a shot at Ohio State before their regular season series commences in a couple of years. So yeah, this is all good stuff.
I just pulled up the college football nerds model, and I don't know if it's been updated yet for this week, but it would have Indiana beating Ole Miss by 17 points, 39 to 22, basically. So, I would probably have Ole Miss scoring a few more points than that. But yeah, that would be a fun pregame, a fun game, a fun postgame, a fun everything. So there you go. A quick look at the college football playoff, where things stand right now. And remember, we will start our shows breaking down the college football playoff committees rankings live. Those will come up on Tuesday night starting in November. We'll have our usual breakdown of that and sort of projecting what this all means looking forward, because we're starting to get, we always try to not get too deep into the college football playoff too early in the year, because you want to sort of enjoy the season for what it is. But you're allowed to start doing a little scoreboard watching now that once we turn the calendar into November. So we'll start with those coming up in about a week or so. Those will be at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. And And of course, you can find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com talking about this, talking about all the other fun stuff going on in football with the Buckeyes heading into a game against Penn State, who, again, nothing has changed. Everything's fine. No problems there. They'll be coming to town to take on the Buckeyes noon on Saturday, big noon kickoff. We'll be there covering it all for you at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.